Joint press release by the Federal Foreign Office and the Federal Ministry of the Interior and Community on the Federal Admission Program for people from part of the international efforts. Germany has continued to endeavor to help people in Afghanistan even after the Taliban seized power in mid-August 2021. In addition to humanitarian assistance on the ground, this includes approvals for admission during the last few months for former local employees and other Afghans who are at particular risk. Almost 26,000 local employees, and especially vulnerable Afghans, have already taken advantage of the admission options provided by the German government. Now the government is following on from this with the federal admission program, thus implementing a project contained in the coalition agreement. The coordination process included structured cooperation with civil society organizations. The Federal Ministry of the Interior and Community and the Federal Foreign Office have developed a balanced program in conjunction with the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development and in a dialogue with civil society organizations. We will continue to fulfill this responsibility, and have now created a structured framework for future admissions. Based on established admission criteria, we are able to offer protection to particularly vulnerable people from Afghanistan. We are doing this with reference to the number of people we have admitted so far, because we know that our towns and municipalities are under a lot of pressure due to the large number of refugees we have already admitted this year. So we are closely monitoring local capacities for admitting and integrating refugees. We are also working closely with civil society organizations to explore new avenues and forms of cooperation which have never been tried before. For example, we now have a coordinating office to support civil society organizations taking part in the program and into realizing it. Since last summer, the Taliban have denied women and girls in particular any hope or prospects for the future. They have increasingly curtailed their rights and cracked down brutally on anyone who resists. The humanitarian admission program, which is finally being launched today, is therefore targeted at them in particular. We want to give them back some hope, and the chance to lead self-determined lives in freedom and safety. Especially grateful to the many committed members of civil society who have shown admirable spirit in helping to get people out of Afghanistan since last year, in some cases placing themselves at the greatest personal risk. They have advised us with the selection criteria and target groups, thus ensuring that the federal admission program assists those who need it most urgently. To that end, we have now created a clear and reliable legal framework stating that we will take people in is one thing, ensuring that they can leave Afghanistan safely to come to Germany is another. It will require a joint effort to achieve the targets we have set ourselves. We will not slacken our efforts. In light of the complexity of this issue, and the extremely difficult situation on the ground, it will not be possible to put a perfect system in place. We are all aware that some aspects of the new federal admission program require some modification. But to finally have a nationwide program to bring those in particular need of protection to safety legally and with as little risk as possible is 1,000 times better than no admission program. Afghan nationals in Afghanistan who exposed themselves to particular risk through their commitment to women's and human rights or their work in the spheres of justice, politics, the media, education, culture, sport, or academia and are thus vulnerable. 4. Due to the special circumstances of their individual cases have experienced or are experiencing violence or persecution based on their gender, sexual orientation or gender identity or religion, and are therefore at concrete and personal risk. In particular, these are victims of serious individual women's rights violations, homo or transphobic human rights violations or vulnerable representatives of religious groups or communities. Procedure. Only people who are living in Afghanistan can be considered for inclusion in the program. The names of suitable persons are put forward by the authorized agencies. These agencies will be designated by the German government and be granted the right to nominate individuals due to their specific knowledge of the persons eligible for admission to Germany or of the situation in Afghanistan. They may include civil society organizations. The participating civil society organizations are assisted in this process by a coordinating office funded by the Federal Ministry of the Interior and Community. Only people who are living in Afghanistan can be considered for inclusion in the program. The names of suitable persons are put forward by the authorized agencies. These agencies will be designated by the German government and be granted the right to nominate individuals due to their specific knowledge of the persons eligible for admission to Germany or of the situation in Afghanistan. They may include civil society organizations. The participating civil society organizations are assisted in this process by a coordinating office funded by the Federal Ministry of the Interior and Community. At the start of the program, the focus will initially be on persons on whom the participating agencies already have information. The plan is to make new registrations possible at a later stage of the program. The German government's decisions on selection will be based on the names put forward and the established selection criteria. Decisions will be made at regular intervals based on the current data available. The authorized agencies can put forward names on an ongoing basis. When it comes to considering family members, a definition of family adapted to the reality on the ground is used. The program is now to be implemented quickly so that the first approvals for admission can be granted, and the selected persons can be given active support in leaving Afghanistan. In cases already brought to our attention, approval will continue to be granted using the existing criteria in the initial stages of the new program. The plan is to approve around 1,000 Afghans at particular risk along with their family members from Afghanistan for admittance every month. That is in line with the number of approvals granted during the last few months to Afghans who are at particular risk. Admissions and entries to date. So far, the German government has granted approvals for admission to around 38,100 Afghans. During the last few months, around 1,000 persons per month on average were granted approval for admission. The persons approved for admission include approximately 24,500 former local employees, and around another 13,600 vulnerable Afghans, including eligible family members. Of these, more than two-thirds, around 26,000 individuals, have already entered Germany.